today's video is going to be about locking in. So everyone knows this term, it's been pretty familiarized by now, and everyone thinks of the same couple of things. Maybe watching a motivational sports video like Kobe or David Goggins, or even someone on the self-improvement side of YouTube like Hamza. They all have their merits, but the problem is that they're all motivation and not discipline. So what that means is that when you're trying to work, it feels good before, right? When you're watching all these guys, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go get to work. But when you actually do try to get to work, it's impossible because you don't have the discipline to stick with it. So you might do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, but you can't keep doing it. Or even worse is that you have this same cycle of having a couple of productive days and then falling into a slump. That's the worst, because then you just keep going in this cycle of thinking you're productive, falling into the slump, realizing you're in the slump, and then having to go back and fix it. We don't want that. We want it to be where your natural baseline is working, being productive, locking in. Essentially, the idea is to not have to lock in at all. You just naturally work well. You naturally, do your whatever work you need to get done, whether that's schoolwork or anything else. I'll probably be focusing on schoolwork for the most of this video because currently I'm a student, so that just makes the most sense in my head. But the way it works is somewhat like a rubber band, right? So if you can think of a rubber band, you pull on one side and then it snaps back in place. So your baseline is one end, right? And then you're pulling the rubber band to where you want to be. But what happens? Eventually the rubber band snaps back and you're back at baseline. So you've been trying to change this, right? With all this motivation and thinking, oh, I'm gonna get here, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna be like this, I'm gonna be this productive. But what if I told you instead of doing that, we change this? We change your baseline to be here. So now you don't need to stretch it. It's already there, and you could stretch it a little bit further if you want to, but again, you'll snap back. The key is you need to change your baseline. So how do you actually change that baseline? Well, you can do that by addressing the two big problems that are keeping your baseline below where you want it to be. The first being YouTube and social media, and the second, which people are not really talking about, is a romanticization of productivity and working. So first thing, YouTube, social media, obviously this is pretty self-explanatory. You're wasting time watching bullshit videos like this instead of actually doing the work, but that's okay, because the thing that no one really talks about is you have to be like this in order to eventually get to doing the work. You can't just immediately just start doing work, right? You can't just quit YouTube and then boom, you're in work. You have to actually educate yourself on how to do it. And the funny thing is that no one provides that education, right? That's not something you're taught in school, like how to get to work. They say you learn how to study, that's bullshit. You don't actually learn how to study. But that's a point for a different video. The idea is that you need to be on YouTube consuming content thinking you're unproductive, and you really are for a couple of months in reality, and then you can go and do the work. Because then you understand all these tactics. You don't need to watch another how to be productive video because you've already watched like 1,000 of them. You know every tactic that's going to be said, right? And it's not the YouTuber being repetitive, it's because he's not making that for your level of experience. You've consumed all the content. It's time for you to graduate and actually start to do the work, right? Then when you start to do the work, you start getting the other type of videos where it's the romanticization, right? So you might know channels like JV Scholes, right? Or there's a couple of other ones. I might be even spelling that wrong, but this is the thumbnail from his video right here. Essentially, it's where people like to make it look like they do a lot of work without actually doing a lot of work, right? This means setting up your wallpaper, putting on the right music, doing this, doing that, right? Trying to get the perfect environment for working. The reality is there's no such thing, all right? There's no quick trick, no quick habit, no Pomodoro technique that's gonna just make you start to work, right? I know people say there's like the kitchen timer, whatever. In reality, it's all very individualistic, and there isn't something that's gonna just magically make you work. The reality is that you have to just do it, right? And you can't try to make it look perfect. You have to be okay with mediocrity. You have to be okay with being distracted in 5-10 minutes. That's okay, right? You're going from doing no work to trying to do some work. So you have to be okay with those little gaps in between. And that's fine, but you just got to keep getting better, right? We want to keep moving the baseline. We can't just move it from one point to the other immediately. We need to move it incrementally, just like, in the gym, progressive overload, right? You just increase the weight a little bit every week. Same thing here. You just increase your work amount a little bit every week, maybe the work efficiency a little bit every week, and maybe you do get to some aesthetic thing just like this, but it's not something that you should start with, right? Because then you're wasting time instead of actually doing the work. So the next big thing is that you need to actually set a goal, right? And that goal has to be something that you actually want to do, right? It has to be something that you basically need that sort of reason to get up in the morning, right? And it can't be something that is outside of you. So for example, that would be parents or expectations. It should be something that is internal to you, right? Like maybe you want to, I don't know, like live on the beach or something like that, right? Like it should be something that is personal to you, and you need to stop looking at other YouTubers for this like dream, right? I found myself doing this where I would look at another YouTuber and I'd be like, oh, he has this dream, so I want that, right? That is not really the point. The point is that you need to find something that you will get up in the morning for. And that isn't something that I will get up in the morning for or some other YouTuber will get up in the morning for. It's something that makes you get up in the morning for. That is important because that is what creates discipline, right? You will always have that goal. You don't need to go to YouTube Shorts and find the next Kobe motivational video. You have the goal that you set, the motivation that you set. As soon as you read that, that should get your ass up and get you into the working mode. And the key here is you need to be honest with yourself, right? You need to be as brutally honest to yourself as possible. It can be something embarrassing. It can be literally something like having the confidence to go make some friends, right? Maybe you're so much of a loser and you don't have like any productivity, you have no good grades, you have nothing going for you that you're literally embarrassed to talk to other people, right? It could be something like as dark and serious as that. Like that's pretty goddamn sad, right? Like if you're so much of a loser you can't even make any friends, that is a good enough reason for you to remember to get up in the morning, do the work, and it doesn't really matter what like other people will say because you have a reason to do it. So the next big thing is effort, right? Effort makes habits easier. What I mean by that is, okay, the first time, let's say it feels like you're pushing on this big rock, but the reality is if you push it again, it gets a bit smaller. And guess what? If you push it again, it gets even a little bit smaller, smaller, until eventually it becomes really easy to do. That is how you have those good habits. You have to force your brain to do that hard work even when you don't really feel like it, because that effort is gonna make that habit feel better, right? And in this example, the habit is like the rock. So in the same way, when you feel like, oh, I can't really get to work, if you just put your mind to it and just get it done, just, I don't know, force yourself to do it, it will make that effort easier. So in the long term, maybe a week down, 2 weeks down, a month down, that effort becomes effortless, essentially, right? It becomes really easy to move that rock. So it's time to start depending on yourself. There is no magic cure and there is no savior, right? A lot of people want there to be some sort of, like, oh, if I just do this, it's just gonna magically change everything. Not gonna happen. Even if you watch this video, it's not gonna magically change you. It won't. I'm telling you right now, right? If that loses me views, likes, a subscriber here and there, I don't care. All I care about is that you understand that there is no magic cure and there is no one YouTuber or one person that's gonna save your life and change everything for the better, right? There is no one coming. It is just you, and you have to be okay with that, and you have to fix things according to that. The next thing is you have to be okay with being alone. So with the previous statement, I told you that there's no one coming to save you. It's just you. So you need to be okay with that. You need to be okay with, being alone. And I put this meme here just because it's kind of funny, but yeah, the reality is that even if you have like a lot of friends and a social like life and whatever, when it comes to work, the key thing is that you have to be able to do it alone. You can't really depend on other people. The reason being is that sometimes you just have to get work done. And if you're dependent on other people, they might have other things, right? And you don't want to put that burden on them. You want to be able to do it yourself. So if you can, then work becomes easy. Effort becomes easy. So hopefully you take those actions, and yeah, I hope that works, and I'll see you in the next one.